Welcome, everybody, to the latest edition of the Bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by Bet Rivers. I've been excited to have our next guest on. We had him on last week to preview the draft, and I cannot wait to hear what he has to say about what the Browns did in the 2026 draft, what it means for the quarterback competition, and everything else involving the NFL draft. The great Shaun King, Super Bowl quarterback from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Shaun, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm great.
Have you got your Super Bowl tickets yet? I mean, excitement is in the air in Cleveland.
There's no doubt about it. People are, getting very carried away right now, but it's fun. I mean, it's a Super Bowl for us in Cleveland. The Super Bowl is the draft. It's the hope that maybe they can finally turn things around. So let's jump right into it. The first pick, it was funny because last week we talked, and you said you were worried about Spencer Fano, the fact that he wasn't necessarily even a left tackle, even though he played it in college. He might not be big enough. They're trying him at other positions here. You liked other offensive linemen instead, but the Browns in the end traded down 3 spots, still got what is definitely their top offensive lineman. Now that it's happened, what do you think about the pick of Spencer Fano?
Let me first of all give a macro draft opinion.
Okay. Yeah.
But sometimes addition by subtraction, right? The energy in an organization is extremely important. And what was removed? Paul DaCosta,
yeah,
and Kevin Stefanski.
Yep.
So take that energy out of the building, right, wrong, or indifferent. It's not there. Andrew Berry fully in control. You add in the expertise that Todd Monken has acquired through his tenure with the Ravens, and the draft just looked more nuanced in a positive way. Regardless if you agree with the individual picks, the overall interpretation of how the Browns handled the draft is better than what I've seen in recent history.
Okay.
Like, there was strategy behind the picks. There was a mixture of need and value that I thought was accomplished that we haven't really seen. And we saw it a little bit last year, I thought, in some of the subsequent picks, but in the midst of that was the most egregious pick of the whole draft, which was Dillon Gabriel. So it was still kind of was uneven. So I want to give credit to Andrew Berry and Todd Monken. I thought they overall did a really good job. To the Spencer Fano pick.
Yeah.
I was named Recruiter of the Year in the American Athletic Conference when I was coaching at South Florida. That is given by rivals. I don't know exactly how they get to who wins the award, but it's a combination of value, talent, kids choosing which school based on the prominence of the university. So all of that I want. So I think I'm a pretty astute evaluator. Historically, when it comes to the USO Polynesian kids, they don't project to be tackles in the National Football League. Great players, but they're generally interior offensive linemen and interior defensive linemen. Sometimes you'll get an edge rusher. If you look at the tackles, Panay Sewell is the only name that readily comes to mind for that culture that's turned into a top-level tackle in the National Football League.
Right.
So when I looked at Spencer Fano, I didn't see elite left tackle projection. I thought, when you're picking 9, good job, trade down, but he's going to be judged based on how good the Miami kid is at the Giants, who went 10, and how good Monroe Freeling is for the Panthers, who went, I think, 16 or somewhere around there.
There were a lot of tackles. I think there were 8 or 9 tackles in the first round.
But as far as my evaluation, those are the 2 kids that I thought had the highest ceilings that projected at the NFL level. And if you end up moving him to guard, then why not take the kid from Penn State, who's a bona fide, legit, looks like a perennial all-pro, Pro Bowl guard. So that was my only pushback on anything that the Browns did, even though I'm not a huge fan of KC Concepcion, just because I think when you look at he's explosive. He's dynamic. But how many guys in the National Football League with that body type that have struggled to catch the football have turned into true difference makers at the wide receiver position? Now, you soften that landing spot by Denzel Boston falling, and you added some length on the outside. So there were some things that happened that made that landing spot a little softer. But other than those two selections, I thought Andrew Berry, Todd Monken, you can't argue with anything they did. Trading back up to get McNeil-Warren from Toledo, who just projects from production and measurables to be a really valuable component for that defense. I thought that overall they did a really good job. But I do agree fundamentally with the 9th pick and the 26th pick.
It's funny that it seems like you like the rest of their draft more than you like the first-round picks. You mentioned McNeil-Warren. Everybody seems to be going crazy that this is a big steal. I mean, you never know until guys are on the field. It's great.
Yeah, I think he's fail-proof too.
Yeah, okay.
Because of his size. If he can't play the middle of the field safety, he can always go in the box and be like that apex defender. The one that the quarterback is trying to read when he's running the RPOs and stuff. He's got length, height. He's athletic. He showed good ball skills. So there are a lot of different things you can do with him, especially on a defense that's already top tier like the Browns. So I thought that was an excellent move by the Browns at that position. I want to say this. I'm not upset with the Browns for taking Spencer Fano. That was their evaluation.
Yeah.
But as we move forward, I want you, the Cleveland sports show and the fan base, let's evaluate who turns into a better player. Is it Fano, Magia, or Freeland?
That's fair. They're all going to be judged against each other. The last time the Browns took a first-round pick on an offensive lineman was Jed Wills. He's basically out of the league. I mean, he did sign with Chicago now, and probably as a backup. But obviously, what's his name with the Giants, who was drafted right after him,
from Alabama.
Much better player. So they got it wrong then. We'll see. Andrew Berry has a lot more experience now than he did 4 or 5 years ago, whatever that was. So maybe his evaluations have gotten better. When I looked at Fano, not at being able to analyze him as well as you, my biggest concern just is he big enough? Like, does he need to add some weight to play left tackle? I think he's listed at 310. I mean, can you play left tackle at 310, or does he need to add some weight there?
That was my issue with taking him at 9. Even though you traded down from 6, you're still talking about a top 10 pick for a guy that I just don't think projects to being an elite left tackle. You think about when you watch those games, Will Campbell in the playoffs, like Browns every week. You got 2 right-handed quarterbacks. That's the blind side.
Yeah.
If he was truly a top-end left tackle prospect, Utah never plays him on the right side. They just don't. You don't take an elite guy like that and play him on the right side.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. All right, so one thing the Browns did that I know a lot of people were excited about, I was excited about, at their 2 quarterback aside, their 2 other weakest positions, wide receiver, offensive line. They drafted 2 wide receivers, as you mentioned. They drafted 3 offensive linemen. They took Austin Barber in the 3rd round, and then went and got a center, Parker Brailsford from Alabama, in the 5th round. What do you think about overall? I mean, they've either signed, traded for, or drafted 8 offensive linemen this offseason.
I thought they did a good job of revamping the room.
Yeah.
Barber's a left tackle from Florida, right?
Yes.
Can't pass protect.
Oh, boy, that's not good.
Big kid, light in the butt, doesn't have a strong base. So he doesn't project to be a left tackle either. So
yeah, they got him. I think I believe during the draft, I don't know if the Browns said, I think the expectation is that he's going to be a guard.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to me, you drafted 2 guys that played tackle in college that are probably going to end up at guard.
Right.
And I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer. I love the enthusiasm. I like that it looked more structured and planned.
Yeah.
But I've got to be honest when I come on these shows about
absolutely.
what my evaluations were and who they took.
In terms of Boston, let's get to him. Obviously, really big kid. You like him better than Concepcion for this team?
Well, I think Boston brings something that they don't have.
Right.
Which is a contested down-the-field catch guy. Isaiah Bond's a deep threat. He's a smaller guy. He's going to beat you with speed. Like Boston's that you can throw back shoulder fades.
Right.
You throw the ball in traffic. He's proven he can go up and make catches. I think the only thing he doesn't have is elite top-end speed, but he's been so productive. He's a guy that I thought was a steal. I actually thought the Raiders made a mistake by not taking Denzel Boston. They drafted the nickelback from Arizona.
Right.
So there were some teams I thought that should have. I don't know what John Lynch. He's my boy. We played together.
Yeah.
How you can have Stripling rated higher than Denzel Boston, and my number 3 receiver was Chris Brazzell.
Right. Yeah.
The kid from Tennessee. So I like Boston. I thought that was a great ad. Thought it was a value and talent meet kind of selection.
Yeah, I mean, I think they hoped they had that kind of guy in Cedric Tillman, but obviously he hasn't really panned out, and so they went down this road. Whoever ends up being the quarterback, and Mary Kay Cabot just put out a report today saying you saw that apparently Deshaun's ahead of Shedeur, who knows, but whatever guy ends up being quarterback, but especially if it's Shedeur, because a young player, how much do all these additions between free agency, trade, and draft help them at least have a competent offense to really see what you got?
Well, they're more talented. They have better overall talent offensively than they did at this point last year. To speak directly to the quarterback competition, I don't think Shedeur Sanders can out-practice Deshaun Watson. Oh. I think if Shedeur is going to win the competition, it'll come in his performance in the preseason games.
Okay.
Like have you gone to Browns practices?
Oh, many times, yes.
Like Deshaun Watson looks the part.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of times Shedeur doesn't. It's not as big, ball doesn't jump off his hand, as lively as Deshaun. It's just one of those optics things. But I think sometimes in the game, based on what Deshaun has shown since he got to Cleveland, Shedeur has more of that grit, dog, like I'm going to find a way when everything breaks down than Deshaun has shown recently. So I think it'll be an elongated battle, but I would not be surprised if Deshaun gets all the reviews coming out of practice. I just think he looks more like your prototypical elite quarterback in those environments than Shedeur does.
Todd Monken has said in an ideal world, we have a starting quarterback at the beginning of training camp. That's not realistic on this team, but you think he might wait till the end or at least the second preseason game before he announces a starter?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I still think the preseason is going to be the ultimate determiner, regardless of, because somebody's got to be the first team quarterback when camp starts.
Sure.
Right? It may rotate, but somebody's going to go out there with the ones. You're going to get. But I still think Shedeur can make up ground when the games start.
Okay. I remember last week I said to you, what about all these other quarterbacks? And you said none of them can play.
They all stink.
I'm just curious. Obviously, the Browns in the 6th round took Taylen Green. He's a freak athlete. Is there any chance he becomes more than a gadget player in the league?
No, because he can't throw.
It's so crazy. Is it mechanical? Like what?
His mechanics are bad. His end results are bad. He just can't throw. I mean, he's super talented.
Yeah.
But he's got this weird 3/4 sidearm. It's bad. All Taylen Green did was, if I'm Dylan Gabriel's agent, I asked for a release. Yeah, right. Exactly. How would you find a way to use Taylen Green? Would you use him? I don't know. He could play. Maybe you bring him in for quarterback sneak situations. I don't. How would you use him if you? I don't think you'll have the benefit of using him because generally the third string quarterback is inactive on game days. True. And if he plays, that means none of the other two can go back in the game. Right. And because let's say for example, they're like, all right, we're going to keep all three quarterbacks active, and because they want to use them. How you could have some red zone, short yardage, goal line type stuff. Especially if Deshaun still has that mentality that he had where he doesn't really want to be a runner. Yeah, he doesn't. I think he's kind of developed that because of the injuries. Yeah. And you look at what the Ravens did, they're at their best when Lamar Jackson's aggressive part of the run game. Right. It makes them harder to defend. So I could see some situations, where they would use Taylen, but I think Taylen's more a developmental guy. You hope Deshaun and Shedeur work itself out 2 years from now. Hopefully Taylen's in year 3 of the system. Hopefully you've helped fix mechanically some of the stuff that he has, and you might have something. It's a low risk, potentially high reward type of pick. But your conference rival made the most egregious pick. Like Drew Allar got everybody fired at Penn State. I couldn't believe. I was laughing when I saw that pick. The Steelers took him in the 3rd round. Oh my God, he stinks. I don't understand. What is the obsession? And he's from here. I feel bad saying it, but. What is the obsession with this guy? Where he was rated coming out of high school. That's crazy. Why should that matter at this point? He's got the fakest stats I've ever seen. if you look at Drew Allar's stats, you're like, oh my God, like, there's something there. If you watch the game, he is single-handedly the reason that everybody in Penn State got fired. Look at the rosters Penn State has had during Drew Allar's tenure there in College Station.
Yeah, I know. It's a good call. You said a number of times to me that Ty Simpson is better off going to a team where he's not going to play for a while. Well, perfect situation. He ends up with the Rams, probably won't play for at least a year, if not 2, if not 3. However, you could argue that the Rams, a team that could win the Super Bowl, maybe should have taken a player that could help them with the 13th pick in the draft. What do you think about that?
Les Snead, one of the best in the business.
Yes, he is.
Drafted Aaron Donald, I think, at 13.
Yeah.
Drafted Jared Verley. He's the best in the business. You always give him the benefit of the doubt. I thought there was an opportunity to potentially trade down.
Yeah.
And maybe add a second or third round pick. Because I don't think there was a market for Ty Simpson. But it's always a tough situation because the Rams generally aren't going to be top 15 in the draft.
That's true.
So you have a chance to get a guy like Ty Simpson who has elite traits but needs developmental time. It's perfect for the organization long term. But if you're Matthew Stafford, if you're Sean McVay, who people talk about Stafford retiring, we've heard those rumors with McVay as well. Yeah. You could have added the guard from Penn State. You had all of the receivers except Carnell Tate pretty much still on the board. Like there were some opportunities there to really enhance your opportunity to win a championship in 2026. Les Snead was preparing for the future. So Ty Simpson, I fully expect will get the Jordan Love treatment, and he needed it, and it's the best thing happened for him.
Yeah, they could have. There was a number of wide receivers. They could have taken Mekhi Lemon.
I think Tate was the only one off the board. No, Tyson.
Tate and Tyson. Yeah, they were the only
Tate
two.
And Tyson. Everybody else was there.
Yeah,
like you could have added Sadiq, the tight end, from Oregon. Like there were some players that could have helped them substantially this year. But Les Snead did the big picture thing and drafted because he knows he probably won't be in a position to take any of the quarterbacks that play themselves into the top half of the first round. I want to be very crystal clear. Remember last year when the Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders draft? Oh, next year going to be loaded with quarterbacks. All of these kids got the same process. They got to play themselves into it. None of them are so good right now that you can say next year's loaded at quarterback. But it potentially could be. Rams probably won't be in a position to acquire any of those guys, so I get it. But it sucks if you're Stafford. It sucks if you're Sean McVay.
Yeah, that's fair. Real quick, let's go some thoughts on the other teams in the AFC North. You already mentioned the terrible pick by the Steelers of Drew Allar. They took, I can't even pronounce his name, the offensive lineman from Arizona State, Ayechor or whatever. It was he was a player that people were talking about a lot with the 21st pick. They took Jeremy Bernard, the wide receiver from Alabama in the second round. Anything about them besides the Allar pick stand out?
2 really good picks.
Okay.
That tackle has huge upside. I don't know if
he hasn't played, right? Like he didn't just start playing?
He's a kid, African kid that was a basketball player. And through some kind of relationship with his high school, the guy that was coaching at the junior college, the high school coach got him to try football. He went to the junior college. The coach at the junior college, I think, ended up at Arizona State.
Okay.
So when he finished junior college, the connection was there. He went to Arizona State, worked his way into a starting offensive tackle, still a little inexperienced, but he's got elite traits, and he's got a super high ceiling.
Yeah. Jeremy
Bernard is a really good player.
Yeah.
Add him to Michael Pittman, DK Metcalf. I like those picks for the Steelers. And then, a lot of people don't know this. Omar Khan was at Tulane with me. He was our manager for the Tulane football team. We went undefeated. So, good friend of mine. I don't know if he lost a coin flip in the room, but they were cooking with gas until they got to the third round.
All right, let's talk about the Ravens now. The Ravens, you talked about maybe the Browns should have taken the guard from Penn State. That's exactly who the Ravens took with their first-round pick. That's a very Raven-esque pick. They took the edge rusher Zion Young from Missouri in the second round. Anything stand out to you with those picks or anything they did?
Solid.
Okay.
I mean, the Penn State guy is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to be plug and play. He's going to be a top 10 guard after year one. He's probably going to elevate to a top 5 guard at some point, and you got a legit top caliber player. The Zion Young kid he's a good player. He's not as explosive as I like in this draft because there were some guys coming off the edge.
Right.
I think that are more explosive than him, but solid rotational player for you. Kind of fits the Ravens mold. Again, their season is going to come down to can Lamar Jackson stay healthy, and come playoff time, can he duplicate the great Lamar Jackson we see in the regular season?
And finally, the Bengals, who obviously traded their first-round pick for Dexter Lawrence. They went to Texas A&M with their first pick again, as they did last year. Cassius Howell was more productive at A&M than Shamar Stewart, but also he's got short arms. I don't know how concerned you are about that. They went corner with Takario Davis out of Washington in the third round, took some offensive linemen and tight ends after that. What about what the Bengals did?
A+, because you got Dexter Lawrence. That's your first-round pick.
That's true.
And even though you gave him a one-year extension, he's still kind of playing for that big deal.
Yeah, that's true.
So there's a little carrot out there. If he goes and has a huge year, that he can get an extended multi-year extension again.
Yeah.
At a big number. So I like that pick. I like what they did in the offseason too.
Okay.
Free agency wise.
Who do you think's the favorite in the North? Is it the Bengals or the Ravens?
It's the Ravens.
Yeah.
Bengals are a close second. If Rodgers comes back, I think Pittsburgh's competitive. But I still don't think they have enough explosiveness. Losing Kenneth Gainwell, I know they added.
Yeah, he was good for them.
They added the kid from Carolina. They had the little stretch where he ran for some big yards.
The guy used to be on the Cowboys?
Yeah, I can't think his name. I'm sorry.
On it too. In my mind, I want to say DeMarco Murray, but
he's a coach now.
That's too many years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I can't believe I can't think of his name.
But Kenneth Gainwell was a big loss.
Yeah, he was good for them.
For Tampa, but he was their third down back. He was that Swiss Army knife guy that Rodgers loves, needs. So Pittsburgh's probably about what they have been.
They drafted a running back high last year, and he fumbled. Rico Dowdle was who you're talking about.
Yeah.
And
I didn't like last year's draft, but they drafted a kid from Iowa.
Yeah, Caleb Johnson.
Yeah, he's slow, stiff.
Yeah.
I didn't like that pick. I scratch my head sometimes at what my buddy Omar and those guys do when it comes to the draft. Like all the way back to taking Kenny Pickett in the first round. Like they've made some very bad evaluations.
Yeah. All right, there you see the odds right now. Baltimore minus 130, the Bengals plus 225, the Steelers plus 525, the Browns plus 1,500 as of now.
The value there is Cleveland.
Yeah, you think they got a chance to win the division?
Well, I think their defense is already the best in the division. And if they just get to the point on offense where they take advantage of the opportunities the defense provides, I mean, they could very easily be a double-digit win team.
Wow. Browns fans are going to get excited to hear that. Not many people picking them to win double digits. I know you're saying if everything goes well, best case scenario situation. The over-under is 6.5.
I take the over on that. I mean, you look at them offensively.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they have any, sure thing on the offensive line, but they've got enough guys that are, at that point in their career where if they have a good year, they can go get a big bag. They're better than they were last year. You got the tight end Fanning.
No doubt.
Judy, Bond, now Boston and Concepcion.
Hopefully Judkins is healthy to start the year.
Yeah, Quinshawn. Yeah, you got enough pieces there. It's not like they're completely devoid of talent, and nobody's great offensively, in my opinion. Derrick Henry's a year older.
Yeah.
They lost Isaiah Likely, who I thought was a big part, of that offense. They lost the coordinator, Monken. Nobody's just
I mean, the Bengals have the best offense in the division. But Joe Burrow gets hurt every year.
Yeah, Burrow got to stay healthy.
If he stays healthy, they'll have the best offense in the division. If he doesn't, then they'll be mediocre again.
And they didn't really fix their O-line. I don't think they're really good up front.
I think their O-line has improved. It played better the second half of last year. Check it out again.
But you got to be great with Joe because he's immobile.
That's true. Well, I don't know about
he's
immobile.
He's great throwing the ball, but Joe not going to make a whole lot of people miss back there. He beats you with timing and intelligence.
That's true. Shaun, great stuff as always. Thank you for taking the time again, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Go Browns.
There you go. Shaun King, great to chat with him in the bullpen. Thanks, everybody, for joining me today. Thanks to Levi and Max and Shaun King. Of course, we'll talk to you next time. Where else but right here in the bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by Bet Rivers. See you, everybody.